Do I start if no one's here, though? Oh. Welcome to Chatty Coffee Crew. Here's your host. That is Shyzabox. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Whoa, ho, ho, ho. Whoa, horsey! Whoa, ho, ho, ho. Oh my gosh! Whoa! Ho, 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 ho. Get out of here! Jeez Louise! Hey, I'm the horse you rode in on. Thank you, young apprentice. You may commence. Going somewhere else now. Go back to the not dark side. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome all nuns of you to the one and only Chatty Coffee Crew. You might be saying, man, did you get a late start today? But the thing about it is that technically, sure, we may have got a little bit of a later start than usual, but if there's one thing that we know, it's that we don't really have anything posted schedule-wise, so really you're just late yourselves. We already started. Where are you at? Not here, watching something better. Well, fair enough. I guess we didn't consider the alternatives. But what we did consider is the fact that there are aspects of media, aspects of our lives, aspects of every single thing that we would prefer to utilize and go through, all right, on not just one occasion, not necessarily just two occasions, but multiple, many variations, iterations, and occasions. That's right, you might be saying, well, that makes hardly any sense at all. But does it really have to, if you think about the fact that there are so many components of media that is worth revisiting, is worth experiencing a second time, is worth, having readily available for you to go through at a moment's notice, because it seems like something that would be entirely worth visiting, worth checking out, worth going through, okay? And on top of that, the titles that pull you, that make you want to continuously go through them again, they can take many iterations, many varieties, many shapes and forms. One of the most popular shapes and forms that it could potentially take is that of the one and only books. That's right. There are some books that are so good that people like to read them more than once. It's like, that's a lot of reading. But for some people, it's entirely just what was in store and just what was ordered. You might be saying, like, well, if books are one form of media that people revisit, there must be more. And it's like, absolutely. How else do you think we would pad an entire show of this without having more stuff to pull out of randomness? You might be saying, well, we wish you didn't, but, well, we already got some stuff as visual aid, and it'll be reverses, but, there's some stuff that's worth revisiting. So, take video games, for instance. We said books. Some people like to read books more than once. It's like, oh, this is my favorite romance of the love story, and I really enjoy it at the end when he offs that rival and gets the girl for himself. Granted, they end up in prison later, but, it's the love story for the ages. What book's that? I don't know. We're just making it up. But if there is an iota of stuff that's worth revisiting, sometimes it's even in video game form. You might be saying, what? Video game's worth playing twice? Yeah, or even more than that. Some of those games are designed to be never-ending. Keep playing this until we get all your money. I don't know. But you look at titles and games that have been out for a minute, like The Last of Us, okay? And it's like, what? The Last of Us? Oh my gosh! That's worth replaying! We better write Sony and see if they're remaking it again or remastering it, because it's been a couple months since they have. There's only been like 4 or 5 iterations and remasters that have come out. What if we want to play it yet again? Well, we need to buy it or we wouldn't feel right about ourselves, A. Sony probably needs the money, okay, B. And C, it's The Last of Us, so you have to play every iteration that comes out because, it's all thing. But we get ahead of ourselves, and sometimes we forget that ones of people join the stream, and we don't want to get too far ahead. without catching up on this ones of chat that have come in. So, ho ho ho, let's see what all ones of you have to say. What's up, dude? Oh, nothing much. Yes. Excellent. I love your hat. Excellent. Well, you love it. We love it too. Excellent. You can touch it through the screen. Go ahead. We know you're infatuated with it. Okay, that's enough touching. We don't know where some of you on the internet have been, so we like to share with you and share some of our stuff, but we don't need you mucking up what's already mucked up enough. Does this show get better? No, this show does not get better. This is the crappiest ground floor. We're kind of the best, crappiest, worst internet celebrity there is. Everything else is better than this. Shoot for the stars, because we aim for the ground floor. You can stand on our shoulders to find better content. This is the base bottom line. We call dibs. We still get the moniker and celebrity status. Granted, it's like, oh, it's that guy, or I recognize him from crap. Stay on this side of the street, honey. We don't want a selfie with him, right? It's like, okay, yeah, that's us. We're that celebrity. We call dibs on the baseline. Everything else is better. We can't compete with AI's content. We can't compete with the Angries of the Joes and the Asmins of the Golds. They do good work. What we can do, though, is put in minimal low effort on a bottom tier entry point of admission for us to make the general broad statement that everything else that you watch aside from this is virtually guaranteed to be better. And if that doesn't make your day better and your life better, then, you know, we're not doing our jobs, okay? If we can't make other stuff more relevant or important in your lives, then, you know, just mute this shit and let it play in the background and head to work or go to sleep or something. And, you know, you don't gotta watch it, but we could really use the views if we're being honest. We kind of want YouTube's money, so there you go. Anyhow, let's catch up with this other ones of chat we got. Your glasses are also epic. Well, if you're just gonna sit here and compliment us on our most perfect of wardrobe this entire episode, then there's no reason for us to have gotten all of these great visual aids and props like an old copy of The Last of Us Remastered. Especially when we're looking forward to, hopefully, Sony releasing 12 other remasters of it in the near future. Because it's so good we have to see copies of it every couple months remastered so that it stays in your mind. They kind of keep up with the sales of that like it's Catcher in the Rye. Okay, it's like, has this individual bought a copy of Last of Us in the last while? I don't know. We better release another remaster. Excellent choice, Sony, yes. But, you know, they go on from there. So anyhow, yes, welcome to ChattyCoffeeCrew. We've got, of course, in store for you today, we've talked a little bit about books. We've talked about The Last of Us. But there are forms of media that are just inherently replayable, revisitable, that make it all the worth being privy to it, being open to it, being available to experience it. Let's see. Baratas, well, okay, and does a straw have one hole or two? Well, if a straw is one individual piece that's in consistent length and it's not comprised of many pieces and it's fold over on itself, then we would argue that it has one hole. That's a very excellent question. In fact, we wish that we had done an entire episode on that statement alone instead of planning our entire episode on revisiting replayable media. Because if we would love to argue one thing, it's little points like that, like how many holes does a straw have? Argue them. And it's like, well, we love arguing stuff like that, especially with ourselves when no one's here to contradict us. It's like, no, I'm going to contradict you in the chat. It's like, yeah, but it's not going to get said unless we read it. Look at that control we has over it. You're an asshole. What? Okay, fair enough. Okay, we'll read your contradiction, even if it paints us in a bad light. Or we'll try to. I mean, sometimes it's hard to keep up with these ones of chat coming in. You think we could, just stop on a dime and read one chat anytime we want? Oh, it looks like we got a new chat in. Hold on. Oh, no, that's the same one. Shit. Well, you see what happens? Boomers like us, we have stuff to say, and sometimes it's even stuff that's worth being replayable, right? It's like sometimes you go to a source to solicit the advice to get the life-learned lessons that you know you need to avoid in your own immediate life, right? It's like, hey, have you seen that crappiest dude on the internet recently? It's like, well, I sure have. He won't stop making shit. It's like, yeah, we tried to get him to stop. Let's write another mean letter. It's like, okay, the point is that can't stop, won't stop. No, please stop. Fair enough. But wherever we were going with that, there are many things that are replayable, and you can learn from those that have played it before you or play it for the first time yourselves. You might be saying, like, well, if there's something else that's so inherently worth playable, worth revisiting media-wise, why don't you lay it on us, Shyzabox? Why don't you tell us what that entity is? It's like, well, if there's one thing that's replayable in its entirety, it's not anymore Borderlands. Borderlands needs to stop coming out with new stuff. Okay, you're like, okay, well, I see you have Tiny Tina's Wonderland there. It's like, dude, believe it or not, we got this for like $5 to $7.50. $5 to $7.50, okay? Tiny Tina's Wonderland. We're not even joking, man. We're pulling some minor visual aid, okay, for the show to keep you on your toes, to keep all ones of you entertained, okay? Because we know it's important. We thought we had this shit digitally, okay? We're not even lying. We don't like Borderlands so much, but we will acquire the games on those digital super deep discount sales or on clearance in stores for super deep discounts. So we're not even joking. We thought we had Tiny Tina's Wonderland digitally, and we got it for like $7.50. But turns out we got a physical copy of it, and believe it or not, it was about $7.50. So that part was correct, but it's like, man, is it worth replaying? It's like, no. We probably should have saved that $7.50 to begin with and just reinvested it in, not this, but, we had $7 worth of fun with it. We played it for at least an hour. Maybe one day we'll even pop it in and continue it, but that's TBD, or we'll figure it out later. No, say what it means. No. Please. Okay. To be. Anyhow, welcome to Chatty Coffee Crew, all ones of you finally joining us. Oh, you son of a bitch. Determined. There, you're welcome. Jeez Louise. Oh, look at those cliffhangers he gives us. Well, how else are we going to get all ones of you to come back? I mean, we have our marketing budget, and believe you me, we take every step and every stride to do everything that all the big companies around say really works to garner a fan base and a subscription need. So, there you go. Look, I mean, what else do you need? We have wacky, waving, inflatable, flailing arm guys here. Welcome to the topics that we have in store for you today. Let's see this ones of chat that came in while we were busy entertaining a lot of people, obviously. I give you 50 cents. What? No way! There's no way you gave us 50 cents. There's only one way to give us 50 cents, and that's to go to Cash App. That's the only way we get loot. Otherwise, we're going to cash in on YouTube's money. And if you go to Cash App, you got to go to the right punk rock review. We're the ROK one. I mean, there's two. You're probably going to give our 50 cents to someone else. And it's like, damn it. We got to put our hat more centered so that people walking by the internet throw money in that shit. Where's all those stream snipers we hear about that are rich and come and stop by and they're like, hey, no one's watching this jerk. Let's give him like $500,000. That happens, right? No, if not, that's what we're holding out for. No one's going to pay you, jerk. Anyhow, well, that's fine. Then we'll get him here organically, the old-fashioned marketing way. With this. Anyhow, of course, we're talking replayable media, and you might be saying, if there's one thing that's not replayable, it's anything in this stream. And if that were the case, then why would we have already held up and talked about The Last of Us? Fair enough. Fair enough. See, we might not be the best, but we make the most sense in stuff that makes sense. So there you go. I mean, you can't argue with correctness, and when you want correctness, you go to those that have the life-learned experience that are correct, and that's us. So, anyhow, media worth replaying, things worth revisiting. There's books. Moby Dick is my favorite book. It's not our favorite book. We're just saying it could be someone's, and they're like, I read it all the time. Hey, The Last of Us is my favorite game. I play it all the time. It's that replayable media, that, entertainment that one seeks in their life, right? That ends up really paying off and being just ahead of the curve in what one wants and what one finds peace and solace in. Maybe it's a horror movie and they're not looking for that type of peace. They're just looking for something to get their mind off of their every regular day routine or lives. Okay? And when you come by a place like ChattyCoffeeCrew and you're like, what the heck is, going on here? What's all this about? Then before you realize it, you're like, I guess I'm going to have a better day than whatever the hell that was. And you do. So you're welcome. But let's dive deeper. Let's talk about other media. Okay, now we've talked about some stuff that's not worth replaying, stuff that we thought we had a digital copy of, but we got a physical copy of it. Fantastic, right? That'll be worth ones of dollars years from now when they have Borderlands 27 out, because they just keep making them, because that's all the intellectual property they know. They can't create a new storyline. That's virtually impossible. But if they were to, maybe they'd make a game that we would actually venture to spend full price on. Like when Grand Theft Auto 6 rolls out, we venture to say we'll spend full price on that, even if they want Nintendo's asking price. We will shell out for it. Okay? We have that much faith in the game. It might not live up to our expectations for it, but we guarantee you that there's going to be some form of playability that this company has dedicated to the game itself, and when Grand Theft Auto 6 releases, we guarantee you that will become one of those replayable medias. Or if we can't guarantee that, then maybe we'll be wrong, but we're probably not, because as we stated before, we're right. So there you go. Excellent. So what's some other forms of media that they're rolling out that they want people to replay? Well, there's a little thing called skateboarding. You might have never heard of it, especially if you didn't grow up in the time of the X Games' first 10 seasons, okay? But there's, a thing called skateboarding, and to this day, you might see those little kind of caps that are put on benches, like stone benches, things like that, or even, whatever, sometimes wood benches, usually like the stone benches. Or you might see, signs posted that say, no bicycling, skateboarding, or rollerblading. Okay? Those are all up all over the place because of our generation, and you're welcome. You think that companies wanted to call the cops on us skateboarding in front of their businesses and behind their businesses on a daily basis? No. Obviously, they needed to post a sign to say no skateboarding, bicycling, or rollerblading here, because, then it's a rule. And if it says it on a sign, by golly, you best follow it, because that means it's a rule. Stand up. We need the viewers to see you in all your glory. You bastard. Excellent. Good enough. Good enough. They want you to replay. They want you to revisit games that have been out, for a while, that they've remastered, retouched base with, and reintroduced to the populace. And, like we said with the skateboarding, you're welcome for all those signs all over in the general public if you're a current skateboarder, and those caps on the benches, but we pre-waxed a lot of curbs for you guys if they're still around, so you're welcome as well. The point is that they cranked out Tony of the Hawk. That's right, Tony of the Hawk Pro Skater. I mean, they didn't crank him out. Well, his game, Tony of the Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. They remade it. They remastered it. People liked it. We liked it. We got a physical copy of that one when it went on a Black Friday discount sale. We got it for like $20. Okay? We devoted hours and hours and hours and hours to the original Tony Hawk. We probably did not devote $20 worth of time to the remake remastered edition. Now, is that because it wasn't good? No. Is that because we didn't like it? No. Is that because they jacked it up and made it less playable than the originals? Absolutely not. The game was, exponentially increased in virtually every component in existence when they re-released it. The only difference with that is, yes, it's a replayable media, but we had spent so much time on the original Tony of the Hawk games that when they did the remaster and re-released it, yeah, we dabbled with it. Like we said, we picked up a physical copy on a Black Friday deep discount sale of like $20, okay? And we don't regret doing it. It's in our library now. We got it. But we don't play it. And with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 coming out, whenever that is soon enough, they had the demo out for a good while. We didn't touch that one either. We've spent so much hours in the Tony of the Hawk universe that it's really not one that calls us. We used to skateboard, all the time. Never good. You fat fuck, you didn't skateboard, huh? Yeah, anyone could buy a board, we could ollie, we could nose slide, we could 50-50. That's it. Like, easy 50-50s, like not on like high obstacles, like low ones. Couple, like 2-3 inches. I mean, dude, we're pretty good at not being great at skateboarding. So, point is that we were a part of the industry. We've been skateboarding and being a participant in the culture before it was acceptable. We were being chased off of properties by security and local law enforcement. Sometimes they go by police officers, things of that nature. Businesses had problems and issues with folks going around on the skateboards. Okay? Hence, all those signs posted and stuff. But instead of doing something like remaking, I don't know, Tony Hawk Ride in all its glory with an extra peripheral that you can use where you can virtually almost, slip and fall in your mom's living room upstairs when you come upstairs from the basement. This is what they should remake. They should remake something crazy. Something that the tech wasn't quite there. Did the game play? I mean, the game did something. Not that well. But, it's like, man, I ollied, bitch. Like, no, you didn't. You gotta lean back further on the board. Well, that's horseshit, Tony Hawk Ride. I ollied. The point is they don't want to take a daring chance like that. They don't want to be like, oh, that peripheral didn't do so well. That peripheral didn't entertain the masses as well as we hoped it would. That peripheral was too expensive, too much of a flop, a failure, not coming to fruition or being, right? The point is that while the technology has kept up to be able to offer things like remade games in better completed conditions, ways, shapes, and forms, okay? Last of Us, increased visualization, update things, okay? Stuff like that. There's all sorts of, games that seek and, actually acquire substantial benefits to the tech upgrades. So, when you have entities in existence like, Tony Hawk Ride, that is a peripheral that has not been utilized or maintained or looked into as being an upgradable piece of technology, okay? There's some old tech in these, right? It's not as responsive as it should be or should have been, okay? There's aspects to it that could be improved upon surely. And yes, you might, in doing some development and research on it, kind of devise a product that is a little more pricey and a little more expensive than its predecessor even. But if you put the appropriate technology in it and you upgrade the hell out of it, there are people that spend $500 on steering column rigs, okay, for racing games, things of that nature. There are some very serious gamers out there. How about those that invest in making an entire mech almost? You remember that old school controller that had like 40 buttons on it? It was the mech controller, like Mech Assault or something like that. Man, we always wanted one of those. Every single button in the game on the controller did something. All 40 buttons, or however many there were, they're like that, did something. Even the one in the corner, it might turn the lights on your mech, okay? But it did something. You had components that were just awe-inspiring to look at visually from even a non-player standpoint. So if you were to invest and get the Elon of the Musk Starlink of the technology in a peripheral like a Tony Hawk of the Ride skateboard, you've got to be able to make an entirely new peripheral, and it might even be able to come in under cost of what some of these bigger gaming rigs go for. Look at some of the VR rigs with the, motion pads that, you can walk on and move on. Look at some of those, haptic shock vests, okay? The haptic bodysuits. All this tech's out there. All this stuff's out there. There's got to be an apparatus or device that you could improve upon and make, okay? That, yes, might be a little daring, a little risk-taking, a little out-of-the-box thinking, okay? And I don't know what the current skateboarding of the marketplace is. Okay? We haven't skateboarded in a good while. All right, well, hell, we might have actually pushed around more recently than not, but, we haven't, skateboarded. We don't skateboard anymore. We still have a skateboard, and sometimes when we have to move it, we stand on it. So, if that counts as pushing around and stuff, maybe up and down our mom's driveway once or twice, but not when it's hot outside, because that sounds miserable. But what isn't miserable is being able to just have a good time. And these companies are having a good time making things again, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Okay, but where's the risk? Where's the go out there? Where was the cry and demand past Tony Hawk 1 and 2? Like, oh, we need Tony Hawk 3 and 4. We didn't hear it. We didn't call for it, and those original games, maybe we're just off our rocker. But we thought they were made for, folks around like us who were skateboarders that it, appealed to, and we know that it was a blanketed kind of just media that took over, in its entirety, down to, we reference it quite a few times. There was the article written saying they might as well change the name of PlayStation to that thing that plays Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Okay? It was a worldwide phenomenon. And it had a huge garnering and massive fan base to it. But when they took the time to remake all of the Tony of the Hawks, before they took the time to maybe potentially either make an entirely new intellectual property in general, okay, instead of remasters, remakes, or, be a little daring and look at those peripherals that could be improved upon that might add something to the genre. You remade Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, and phenomenal, great, plays better, sounds better, looks better, runs better, okay? And sure, with the code already being written for the 3 and 4, It's doable. Just port them out, upgrade them a little bit, kick them out, right? But, God, it would have been amazing if those teams were working on a new peripheral, a new device, a new gaming apparatus that would set itself apart from anything else. No, they'd waste a lot of money. That shit would fail again. Well, then that's on them. But it would have been amazing to see something like that roll out again. But no, there's no daring. There's no risk-taking. There's merely continue with what has been working for us. More Borderlands. More Borderlands. No, Tiny Tina's Wonderland's different. Oh, yeah? How so? Well, it's Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, well, if it's Dungeons and Dragons, no. Our bad. We thought we were opening little crates and shit and getting random ammos. We thought that we were kind of collecting loot and stuff like that and getting little guns. I mean, we only played a couple hours of it. We might even revisit this one, actually, sometime or another. But, you know, they just keep cranking them out. We don't care enough about them to keep up with them. You know, they're remastering the original Gears. They kind of have an opportunity there to reconnect and retouch base with something. Not Gears 5. Retouch base, reconnect with the populace. And, you know, garner a new infatuation with the Gears of War series. Now, what may potentially happen with the Gears of War series, and this is going to be something that we think is going to be worth a bigger entity looking at, your Unsleeved Media, or your Jeremy of the Quartering, or Asmon of the Gold, Angry of the Joe, any of those bigger entities and outlets. There's something weird with the Gears of War remaster going on, and if those numbers are padded with pre-sales, if it looks like there's a lot of pre-sales for the Gears of War remaster remake coming out, let it be known, anyone that had the digital Ultimate Edition of Gears of War, they gave that shit to us for free. It wasn't even like Microsoft or Game Pass sponsoring this channel. Obviously, that probably wouldn't happen for a while. Hey, Phil Spencer, take off your hoodie and hook up some cheese. Daddy's hungry. Anyhow, the point is that the Gears of War, if those sales numbers, those pre-sales numbers are padded, then it's going to be substantially based off of the fact they're giving that shit away for free. We got the Gears of War remake, remaster coming out for free. We don't even have it, obviously not out or anything yet, but if those pre-sale numbers are saying that there's hundreds of thousands of copies of pre-orders and, you know, hype X, Y, and Z around this game, that's probably a little fabricated, because whilst we're not unhyped for it, and whilst we super appreciate Microsoft hooking up the new iteration, the new copy of Gears of War, since we already have the old iteration, the old copy of the remaster remake that they remade, you know, a while ago, and they kicked it out with the, you know, old Xbox One when it came out, right? The point is that if they are padding their numbers, if it shows there's hundreds of thousands of pre-orders for this game, that's potentially an inflated number, because they're just giving that shit away. And it's called a pre-order on what they had us, you know, do our claim code for. So it's, yes, we pre-ordered the Gears of War remaster remake, but we didn't pre-order it. They gave it to us. And we accepted it because we loves free shit. But if anyone keeps up with those numbers and they think there's an additional hype or something around this game, it could be a fabricated one. Now, like we said, it's not that we're not excited for a new Gears of War remaster remake. Hell, we'll probably dive into that bad boy day one, because the original's so phenomenal. And if they actually do improve all components and aspects of it, then hell, that's some replayable media right there, and we're all for it. So, I guess we don't care if their numbers are prefabricated. We're actually a little excited ourselves, and kind of stoked that we're getting it for free. But obviously, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you should have that monthly subscription to Game Pass, motherfucker, right? Then you should be able to get it too, obviously. So, we'll see how it turns out to be, but if anyone does look into those pre-release, pre-order numbers, those are potentially fabricated and a little misleading. But At the same time, are they? Because I guess technically we pre-ordered it by accepting their free code, but, I mean, there was no recurring payment structure or anything like that, minus our payment to Game Pass, based around it. It's just like, hey, you have this game, we're making it again, here's a better copy of it. And that's phenomenal. That's good business. You know what doesn't happen with our Last of Us copy every time we have it? We don't get 3 copies of the upgrades. So, maybe Microsoft is trying to set itself apart. Maybe Xbox, and Phil and Spencer are like, whoa, we best do some freebie stuff. Unlike PlayStation, they want people to buy The Last of Us 12 times. Which, why wouldn't you? Especially if you want to play it 11. You gotta leave 1 copy unopened, obviously. For nostalgic reasons, because, there's not enough copies in existence. Good luck getting your hands on a copy of The Last of Us. This one's on PS4. This is the remastered one. Okay? This is the one that won over 200 Game of the Year awards. Okay? If we don't mention that accolade every single time we remaster it, then holy shit, what are we doing? Naughty Dog, I hope that you make it a point to let people know that The Last of Us won some awards. Because, it needs to be front and center. But the point is that, yes, we are excited for the new Gears of War. It's going to be some replayable media because that's something we're going to be replaying. There's other components, other games that are out there that folks fall in love with, that they play hours upon hours on end. Okay, like we did with the original Tony of the Hawks Pro Skaters in our young rebellious youth. All right, when we was in high school, and when that came out, young little freshmen, 9th graders, walking around the halls of the school with their skateboard. Don't ride that in the hall, Mr. Shyzabox. Of course not, sir. Never dream of it. That's against the rules. I saw the sign outside. Excellent. If it's written on a sign, it's true. And it's a rule. So, there you go. Yes, sir, I know that. I'm going to go to class and study, so I can be real good and get a good job when I graduate. Have you ever heard of the internet, Mr. Shyzabox? You don't really need to stay around these parts. You can depart us whenever you want. Huh? What? I don't know. Anyhow, there's aspects of media, components of media, inherently entirely worth revisiting, and there's some games that just take hold in a player's lives. Look at games like Warframe, like your Destiny 2. Look at in-person tabletop games like Dungeons of the Dragons and things of that nature. You have a variety of these apparatuses that are entertaining to an individual, to a consumer, to a player, to a fan. Hope you're a fan if you're devoting hours and hours upon hours to it. You have these apparatuses that just offer that replayable component to them that keeps the player base coming back. Us with the Magic of the Gathering. Sorry, we loves Magic of the Gathering. Shh, don't tell anyone. We'll get jumped after the show. No we won't. That's wrong and mean, and holy shit, if we gotta put a sign up that makes a rule about that, we will. Don't jump us after the show. At least before. No. Jeez. Don't jump anyone. That's mean and wrong. And you shouldn't do it. It's not nice. But, unless you're playing Leapfrog, then jump over everyone. Or if you don't, you'll crash right into them. You'll both fall over. Maybe you'll giggle and laugh. It's all fun. But, what isn't fun is having to wait for these new media forms to come out. These new replayable medias that you know is going to take front hold on all components and aspects of what you're looking to get out of, your free time, your play time, okay, your interactable time with media, things of that nature. You sit back and you read a book. You love it. Year or two down the road, you read it again. You sit back, you watch a TV show or a movie. You love it. Sometime down the road, you sit back and watch it again. There are shows that people watch in their entirety from start to finish, okay? Seasons upon seasons. Say you look at something like Breaking Bad or South Park, okay? You got fans, or The Simpsons, Family Guy, Family Matters, Different Strokes, whatever. What you talking about, Willis? I don't know. We're talking about people falling in love with an episode of something, with a movie or something along those lines, to where it's what they watch all the time. Maybe they don't have access to other forms of entertainment like this, and so all they have is their one copy of Cool Runnings on VHS. But you know what? That movie's phenomenal. John Candy did amazing. So did all the other people in it. You know, it was a fantastic movie. Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. Wake up, Jamaica, it's bobsled time. Cool Runnings. You know, if it's someone's favorite and it's worth revisiting and it's worth checking out, it's my lucky egg, man. Hell yeah, it's your lucky egg. Fantastic. You get your lucky egg, Sanka, and you take it down the hill and you win that gold medal. Or you get last place, however it works out in the end. That's beside the point. Some people know they come in last place from the get-go. So why even start running at the start of the run, right? We're kind of trekking here at the back end of the pack. Yeah, everything that's good. Us, you know. Do we really have to hit the ground running? Not really. We can do a slow tiptoe crawl walk and this. You know, so that's just how it kind of works. But we know a comment came in a minute ago, and let's go ahead and double check it now to make sure we don't get too far ahead of us with all of these nuns of comments coming in. Let's check the boards. All right, looks like we had an emoji come in. Yes, and it's, well, someone who probably was unhappy with this show. It's JC in the house! Yes, JC! Excellent. JC's been in the house now for a while, but if there's something that we're not good at, it's keeping up with all of these comments that come in. And, you know, we go through quite the long, pretty much, time frame of virtually not even knowing that a comment could be there. It's like, well, then no one's ever going to watch this. Huh? What? It doesn't matter. What does matter is that there is replayable forms of media out there. Okay? There are those go-to shows and movies that people just repetitiously watch. Even if they have access to other stuff, it's like, man, you know what? I'm just going to put on South Park tonight and fall asleep. That's just what I watch every night. South Park and fall asleep. Now, not us. We've been watching One Piece, trying to go through that series, as far as, you know, virtually every night. Watch an episode or two, you know, go from there. What got us into it was a form of media that, dare we say, is a little bit of a replayable, rewatchable media. And that is the Netflix's adaptation of One Piece in its live-action format. You might be saying that anything based on anime isn't for you. Anything based on a cartoon isn't for you. Anything in the realm of that kind of science fiction-y-esque, you know, just out there, magical-y type stuff isn't for you, and that's all fair points. You know, there's a variety of movies out there that definitely pull from a lot of components of that, and it can dissuade any average viewer from wanting to consistently watch it, stay with it, or check it out. We've stopped watching shows after the first episode or two, easily, hands down, just because they do something in it, the writing does something in it, or something is just that much off that we know we don't want to dedicate the time and attention to it that it would take for us to become a fan of the show. Now, inherently, there's other shows that will draw you in right off the bat, but one of the biggest things that people always say about a variety of media is, hey, the first couple episodes are bad, and then the second couple episodes are bad, but if you make it to the second season, man, it really picks up. And it's like, wow, so all I gotta do is watch a whole season of crap? That's like having to watch our show every day. Most people get here accidentally, like, whoops, I was going to click on this other video and all of a sudden my Parkinson's kicked in. It's like, what? How can that be the case every time? At some point, we know it's the screen reloading and it kicks our video up there. You're like, ah, you son of a bitch. That's how I got here the first time. It's like, yeah, but now your algorithm's all sorts of jacked up, so delete your cache. The point is, still in the house, the big JC. Ah, hell to the yeah. You know, JC, there's media types that are out there that are just inherently worth revisiting. There are concerts, shows, performers, acts, surely you're aware of, and I'm aware you're aware of, that draw the audience back to it. Now, this might not be one of them here, but the acts that do it, the acts that are out there, the acts that do have the aspects to it, the components to it, all right, that encapsulate a reason to return, well, those are the ones that live on for the ages. Think of your, shows from bands like Kiss, The Insane of the Clown Posse, Gwar. You got shows that are so infamous and so renowned that people are aching to check them out. You got all of those reunion tours that happen from bands of folks past. And the nostalgia kicks in and they're like, you know what? I need to see the Rolling Stones roll around in their wheelchairs for a while, playing the classic hits we grew up with. And we understand why you would want to check it out. I mean, hell, look at Black Sabbath's last little reunion thing they just did. The send-off for Ozzy of the Osbourne, right? I mean, the dude got to sit in his chair throne and just sing from there. It's like, what were the other options? I mean, if you wanted to see him, dude said he's going to be sitting down to sing this last couple. It's like, dude's tired. It's been entertaining for a minute. People have dug what he's done. He's invited the media into his life. The Osbournes, the reality of the TV show. Okay, he might not remember any of it, but he did. There's proof out there in the Osbournes seasons that are out there. I don't know, whatever. But the point is that there's things that drive you to come back to it. There's elements of shows, of performers that put on such a show, all right? G.G. Allen would drive people out to see craziness. That other dude who's not G.G. Allen, that would drive people out to see even more craziness. There are components of people and performers out there that would just have that draw. Even people like Iggy Pop, your Marilyn of the Manson. Okay, what's this guy gonna do? And it might be on the super high renown level of Iggy Pop or, Marilyn Manson, where it's mainstream craziness. Or you might have some kind of underground craziness. You're Insane of the Clown Posse's throwing Faygo soda pop all over with some of the most elaborate, magnificent showpieces on concert sets that we've ever seen on a couple occasions. I mean, the band is performers. They're artists, and they're good at what they do. And they give the fans a reason to come back, a reason to return. What do you give the fans? Well, consistency. Consistency in that bottom line, that anything else that you go from here to experience or do in your daily routine will phenomenally be exponentially better than what you've sat through now. And inherently, if everyone leaves where they were a little better, then where they're going's going to be a little better than what it was. Look at that. A philosophy. But if we were to think of a couple revisiting playable media forms, we would be remiss to not count other components and aspects of things that intertwine themselves into one's daily life potentially. Oh, this has gotten cold as we've gone on. We're going to have to chug that sooner than later. There are components, okay, of one's lives that might mirror what they do in their free time with what they do in their not free time. Say you love playing pickleball, right? You're like, oh man, I love playing pickleball. If there's something we love doing, it's playing pickleball. We haven't done a lot of it. We're not that good, but we're pretty good. And we play a lot of it. And if there's one thing that we like to do when we're not playing pickleball, well, it's talk about playing more pickleball on things like video games. And while pickleball games might align with our pickleball lifestyle, even though we don't really pickleball as much as we'd like to pickleball, there are components of games that do line up with people's lifestyles that they do embark on when they're not embarking on it. Look at your Tony Hawk of the Pro Skaters, okay? Just because we don't want Part 3 and 4 re-released doesn't mean that any of the new age skaters, new professional skaters that are out there that are in the industry with huge names for themselves that are just elusive to ourselves because we're not in the industry anymore. But you have, giant skater names surely that are new kids on the block that are aching for that game to release because maybe they're one of the individuals that's in it. And that's pretty iconic. If someone made the Tony Hawk game and then all of a sudden Shyzabox were to pop up in the bottom corner and be like, "Ha! You fell, asshole!" That would, hell, we'd be alright with that. Immortalized in a video game? Absolutely. "Ha! You fell, asshole!" You know how quickly they'd want to have that feature be able to be turned off? It's like, here's Shyzabox popping up in the corner. "Hookies!" Right? Be like one of those things. Old Mortal Kombat's. Like, who's this developer? Get his ass off the screen. I'm trying to get my ass kicked here and lose 2 quarters. Boy, did we get our ass kicked in Mortal Kombat a lot. We usually would beat that first round, though. That one was easy. Anyhow, public service announcement. Do not play pickleball with Joey. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, the big JC. If there was one thing, one component that, yes, is detrimental to one's well-being when playing pickleball, whether you're doing a pickup game and you're ready for it at any time, any point in time, okay, or you're playing it on a media apparatus such as a video game of it, you do not let Joey even come anywhere near the park, the recreational field or facility you're at, your city, county, or even state. You call the federal government, you call your senators, your House of Representative congressional delegates, and you tell them to enact the National Guard on the borders to prevent Joey from coming anywhere in the general vicinity of your province. And if you don't, you're screwed. You ever hear of a little place called New York or California? Those places are screwed. They let Joey in. You know what happens when you let Joey in? He reaps and sows Joey. Ugh! Disgusting! Thank you for the public service announcements. Very important. You have components of games, things like that tie into one's lifestyle, tie into one's, reason to continually go on, to continually play, to continually enjoy, seek, have fun with. You have components of games that have really made such a dent in people's lives that maybe they sway them to undertake new challenges, new ideas, new hobbies, new professions, new careers. Maybe someone wants to play, Fruit Ninja, and all of a sudden they decided, hey, I want to be a sous chef. And they up and change their career. They enroll in culinary school, and it's like, man, I should have never become a lawyer. What a waste of 12 years of my life. Okay, so probably not the field they would jump ship from to become a culinary, sous chef from, but there are individuals out there that might pop in a game like Tony Hawk, having never picked up a skateboard, and they're like, oh, this is fun. I wonder if I could skateboard in realsies. And some people find out they can. Some people find out they can't. Some people find out the quickest way to the emergency room. But what they do find out is if it's for them or if it's not for them. So, fantastic. But yes, elements of games can drive stuff. Elements of media can drive stuff. Maybe you watch a movie and it gives you an idea to do something. Okay, maybe you watch a documentary and it piques your interest on starting a chain of research that leads to a chain of events, okay, that inherently creates a new avenue and a new venue for you to experience and go through and have in your life. Maybe it's never too late to go to law school. Maybe it's never too late to become a sous chef. Maybe it's never too late to try and make a working iteration and version of Tony Hawk Ride that all the ones of masses would want to buy and pay for. You know, you might sink hundreds of millions of dollars into a developing process like that, but if you do it good, if you do it well, if you do it so well and so good, okay, that those new age skaters, that's characters and avatars, are in the new Tony Hawk, those old school fans of skateboarding, those folks who just want to try something new, unique, original, or different, okay, folks that haven't checked out any mixed reality, virtual reality, and stuff like that, the price point is lower than almost ever that it has been for you to get a freestanding virtual or mixed reality headset. For $300, you get the Meta of the Quest 3S. Yes, not as trinkety, upgradey as the Meta Quest 3, but it's something. And sometimes all it takes is for there to be something. And it will take hold. If it has offerings, okay, if you can, in mixed reality, where you're looking at real world, digitally inseminate a pool table into your living room or into your mom's living room when you come upstairs from the basement, and you can play pool with a digital fake stick, or you can port yourself onto a mini golf putt-putt course range in the middle of your bedroom. Fantastic! It's a mixed reality, unique offering and experience that ones of people can embark on and go on. It's not going to be for everyone, surely, but if you make the tech and perfect it, the market will come. Okay? Some of those steering driving wheels that you get for those more fancy driving games, $500, $1,000, $2,000 for entire seat rigs with steering wheel, shift pedals, gear shifters, the works. Speakers, you know, it's got it all. Vibration rumble in the seat. Amazing. Haptic movements, vibrations. The tech is amazing. That's why these rigs are expensive. So you might come out with a Tony Hawk of the Ride that costs $300, $400, $500. But if it works more than Tony Hawk Ride did when it came out, and you make a game that centers around it, it don't even have to be Tony Hawk, it can be any apparatus at this point. The sky's the limit with the tech that you could pull from in order to make a self-contained game. And with how companies want games like Destiny, Destiny 2, Warframe, okay, Overwatch 2, these lifetime games that the developers want you to play on a repeating basis. They want you to be a recurring player base. They want you to replay the media, revisit the media. There's all sorts of stuff, revisiting, replaying, movies, shows. We've covered 4 or 5 individual games, 1 or 2 individual movies, and a small handful of shows. And that doesn't even scratch the surface of what's available to replay and revisit media-wise. We even talked about some concerts, things of that nature that inherently would drive someone to replay them, to revisit them, to re-experience them. Look at things like music videos, which aren't as music video-y as they used to be back in the day. Back when there actually used to be a music television, it was called MTV. Probably not still around, and if it is, I guarantee you they don't play any fucking music. But the point is that they are around, or were around, okay, and they used to play music, ironically. Funny how that works. Point is that you had other channels spring up and copy them. VH1, You had, the box, where people could actually pick what video they wanted to play. And it was a revisiting form of media because you would look at the dialed-in codes of who was selecting what video, and you would be in heaven like, yes, they're putting on the Macarena again. Yes! And it's like you would celebrate because you knew that the Macarena was whatever the number tie-in was. Or a popular one at the time was Hanson's Mbop. What are all these charges to the box on this phone account? Don't worry about it. Mbop, motherfucker. Mbop your ass, go pay that shit. No way. I'd like to report some fraudulent charges on the box. The point is that music videos, they would give folks a reason to return to them. They gave folks a visual representation of the music that they craved, that they wanted to hear, that they loved to listen to. Now, it also was a pretty eye-opening experience for everyone who had those, let's say, radio-friendly faces, right? The ones who it's like, oh shit, that's the person who sings this song. Maybe I don't like it as much as I did. There's a reason why shows like The Voice garner the following they do. It's because usually, sometimes people will write off an entertainer right out of the gate. It's like, oh, I see what they look like. F this, I'm out. And most of the time, they're probably right. Judging a book by its cover, I think there's a saying about that. Judge every book by its cover because it could suck. Hold on. No, we got that wrong. Someone's going to have to look that up. But it won't be us, because that's work. But what doesn't work is figuring out why elements of needing to kind of go back to these medias, okay, are in existence. Okay? It's because it resonates with you. Not every game remake's going to resonate with you, okay? If you don't want to play The Last of Us Remastered for an 18th time, why wouldn't you? Though, it doesn't make sense, but whatever, say that's the case. Then, you don't have to, but the option's there. With the games they are remastering, they're failing to make new, create new, give us new. And at some point, the same old is fine, the same revisiting's fine, but inevitably, you're not going to keep watching the box and paying money to see the same video again and again. Might have been okay at a point in time when there weren't a lot of videos out to choose from. There wasn't an apparatus or an avenue that you could go to watch the video at your leisure. There were elements and components that would make you crave watching or listening to a certain video or song, and you had no way to get it. Making mixtapes, recording songs off the radio. Oh, I think this is the intro. I got part of the DJ doing the, last bit of talking commercials on the recording, but I got most of that song that came out that I really love recorded straight off the radio. I made you a mixtape, baby. Who's this DJ talking? He sounds hot. Damn it! I knew I should have done a better recording. Oh, my betrothed. What has happened? I don't know. Whatever. The point is that we probably already made our point. And that's phenomenal. But, let's chug this shit down because this is going to be ice cold and disgusting. Ah! Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, we know one of the elements that keeps Joey away from us is finishing our cups of coffee. Okay? And if there's not an element of reheatability available right off the cusp, then damn it, we don't risk Joey making his way into our lives just by our failures to consume it in a timely manner. That's on us. That's on us. And we admit that. Disgustingness is on Joey. And if finishing our cup of coffee allows us to acknowledge the fact that potentially even superstitiously, it keeps Joey at bay, then we're going to do it, damn it. And we're going to continue to do it. Unlike, unfortunately, the rest of this stream, because we're pretty much done for now, and we're out of coffee. So, we're going to talk about other stuff that was replayable, like Dungeons and Dragons, and even old, like, role-playing, like, games. Even, man, we love us some South Park, Fractured But Whole, Stick of Truth, all that, man. Good fun to go through. Great stuff to experience. But, if there's one thing to experience in life, it's rejection. So, if you want to get out of here before us, now's your chance, because we see that everyone's been leaving too many footprints on our lawn, and it's mushing down the grass and making it look really trashy. So, we don't want your subscription, we want your money. Downvote the shit out of this and give us a buck. Get off our lawn!